Every morning, 25 million American children climb onto a school bus. That bus has no airbags. On most buses, it has no seatbelts either. And yet a child riding in it is around 70 times more likely to reach school safely than a child riding in the family car. That isn't a fluke. It isn't luck. It's the result of a century of engineering aimed at one strange goal: protecting passengers without the two things every driver assumes keeps them alive. So how does a vehicle with no seatbelts become the safest thing on the road? The answer starts with how badly we got it wrong the first time. Go back about 100 years. School transportation barely deserved the name. The earliest versions weren't buses at all. They were horse-drawn wagons called kid hacks, open wooden boxes on wheels, with benches bolted along the sides. No roof worth the name, no protection from the weather, let alone a collision. A child in one of those wagons was, in every real sense, sitting outside. When engines arrived, things didn't improve much. The first motorized school buses were ordinary trucks with a wooden cabin nailed onto the frame. They were tall, they were narrow, and they were dangerously top-heavy. A sharp turn at the wrong speed could tip one over like a stack of crates sliding off a table. If one of them crashed, there was no steel structure to absorb the blow, just splintering wood and thin sheet metal crumpling like foil, and the fuel tanks were often exposed. A single spark could turn a minor fender bender into a fire. Why were they built this way? Because nobody said they couldn't be. There were no national rules. Every manufacturer did whatever was cheapest. Braking systems varied, materials varied, seating varied. One town's bus might be twice as sturdy as the next town's, and nobody could say which was which. A child's safety depended entirely on the zip code they lived in, and on whatever the local district could afford that year. That finally changed in the late 1920s, when the first national safety standards appeared. Stronger materials, better seating layouts, and one decision you still see every single day: that specific shade of school bus yellow, chosen because the human eye catches it faster than almost any other color, especially in the dim light of early morning. For the first time, a child's safety was being designed on purpose. But a coat of yellow paint doesn't stop a crash. The real engineering was just getting started. The first thing engineers attacked was the bus itself. Those early models relied on their outer shell for strength, and the outer shell was barely there. So engineers stopped trusting the skin of the bus and built a skeleton inside it. A modern school bus is wrapped around an internal steel cage, a full structural frame running through the entire vehicle, from the front bumper to the back door. Think of it like a rib cage. When something hits a rib cage, the force does not crush one spot. It spreads across every rib at once. The steel frame does the same thing with a crash. Instead of one weak point folding inward, the impact travels through the whole structure. If the bus rolls, the frame fights to hold its shape instead of letting the roof cave in on the children below. But the smartest move was not making the bus stronger. It was stopping the rollover from ever happening. Those early buses tipped easily because they were tall and narrow with a high center of gravity. The weight sat up high, and physics did the rest. So engineers widened the wheelbase, lowered the heavy components toward the road, and retuned the suspension to resist body roll. They took a vehicle that wanted to tip over and turned it into one that wants to stay flat. Now the structure was solved. But that raises the question almost everyone asks about school buses. If a school bus is the safest vehicle on the road, why doesn't it have seat belts? Here is where common sense fails you completely. The answer is a design philosophy called compartmentalization, and once you understand it, you can't unsee it. Look at the seats on a school bus. They're tall, they're heavily padded, and they're packed close together. That spacing isn't sloppy planning. It's deliberate. Every pair of seats forms a small padded compartment with a child sitting inside it. In a crash, a child isn't thrown across the cabin into something hard. They move a few inches into the cushioned back of the seat in front of them, a barrier engineered to flex and absorb the hit. A seatbelt only works if it's worn, and worn correctly. On a bus carrying dozens of restless kids, that's a lot of buckles nobody can guarantee. Compartmentalization works whether the child buckles up or not. It protects them automatically, every trip. No cooperation required. That's the key word. Passive. The protection doesn't wait for anyone to do the right thing. But the real reason buses don't need belts the way cars do comes down to pure mass. A loaded school bus can weigh up to 15 times more than a passenger car. Picture shoving an empty shopping cart across a parking lot. It stops the instant it hits something. The motion is violent and sudden. Now picture shoving a fully loaded industrial dumpster. It doesn't snap to a halt. It slows down heavily and gradually because all that mass resists the change. A car crash is the shopping cart. The vehicle stops fast, and the people inside keep flying forward, which is exactly why a car needs belts to hold them back. A school bus is the dumpster. That enormous weight means the bus decelerates more slowly, stretching the crash forces out over time instead of delivering them in one brutal spike. Slower deceleration, padded compartments. Together, they protect a child without a single buckle. Engineers didn't stop at the crash, though. They also had to plan for the moments after one. Early buses had a single door at the back. If that door was blocked by wreckage or fire, everyone inside was trapped. A modern bus is covered in escape routes, side emergency doors, roof hatches, windows designed to push outward and drop a child to safety. There's even a quiet piece of logic hidden in the ignition. Many buses use an interlock system. If an emergency exit is left open, the engine will not start. The bus physically refuses to drive until it is sealed. But here's the part that surprises people most. The most dangerous moment of a school bus ride usually isn't a crash at all. It is the walk to and from the bus. For decades, the children most at risk weren't the passengers. They were the kids crossing the street, struck by drivers who simply didn't stop. So engineers turned the outside of the bus into a safety system of its own. That's the swing-out stop arm, the mechanical sign that extends from the side, paired with flashing red lights that make it illegal for traffic to move. Many buses now add an extended crossing gate at the front. It swings out and forces a child to walk a full car length ahead of the bumper, far enough forward that the driver can always see them, instead of letting them slip into the gap right in front of the hood. Up close, that gap used to be the real killer. Young children would vanish into blind spots directly ahead of the bus, invisible to the person in the driver's seat. Cross-view mirrors. Fixed part of that, bending the driver's sight line around the corners of the bus so the pavement near the wheels stopped being a mystery. Newer buses go further, with full 360-degree camera systems watching every inch of the perimeter, especially useful in a crowded school zone where children move in every direction at once. And then there are train tracks. You've seen a school bus stop at a railroad crossing on a completely empty road. Doors open. A long pause. Then it crosses. That is not the driver being overly cautious. It is a strict protocol, written after real collisions with trains. Collisions that left no survivors. Every bus must come to a full stop, open the door, and listen for what the eyes might miss before crossing. On an empty road, it looks pointless. On the wrong day, that pause is the difference between everyone going home and a tragedy. Some newer buses even carry GPS-based train detection that warns the driver long before a train is in sight. It is worth knowing that the rest of the world does not agree on all of this. In the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia, school buses are required to have seat belts, on the logic that an extra layer never hurts. In Japan, buses are smaller and van-like, shaped by narrow streets. Across much of Europe, there are no dedicated school buses at all. Children ride public trains and city buses alongside everyone else. No two countries solve it the same way. Some chase impact protection. Others chase preventing the crash in the first place. So if school buses are already this safe, a fair question follows. How much safety is actually enough? This is where it gets genuinely complicated. Take the seatbelt debate. A handful of American states now require them. Most do not. Their reasoning is cold but logical. Compartmentalization already protects passengers, and retrofitting every bus in the country with belts would cost billions of dollars. Studies suggest that spending would prevent only a small number of injuries, because bus crash deaths are already extraordinarily rare. Is it worth billions to save a handful of lives across an entire decade? Some say absolutely. Others say that the same money would save more children if spent somewhere else. There is no clean answer. Then there's automation. Self-driving buses could erase human error entirely. No distraction, no misjudged turn, no bad decision. But ask yourself honestly, would you put your own child on a bus with no driver behind the wheel? For most parents, the answer is no matter what the data says. A more realistic path is AI-assisted safety, automatic braking, pedestrian detection, lane keeping, systems that back the driver up instead of replacing them. And electric buses are coming. Cleaner and quieter, but a single electric school bus can cost roughly 3 times what a diesel one does. The safest possible bus and the bus a district can actually afford are not always the same vehicle. That's the real tension. At some point, every new sensor and every new rule buys a little less safety for a lot more money. Step back, and the whole machine comes into focus. The school bus protects children not with airbags or buckles, but with a steel skeleton, a clever use of its own enormous weight, a cabin built from padded compartments, and a wall of lights and signs that reaches out into the street. It's a vehicle that defends its passengers quietly, automatically, whether they're paying attention or not. But notice what we keep coming back to. That color, that impossible to miss yellow that tells your brain school bus before you've even read a word on the side. That shade wasn't picked because someone liked it. It was engineered for the human eye, the same science that decides the color of a fire truck, a road sign, and the vest worn by the worker standing in traffic. If you want to know why some colors practically grab your attention while others disappear completely, that's the